Hello students, welcome to my channel Enlighten. Today in this video we'll going to discuss with the module 6 that is international liquidity, international economic institutions. Okay. So first we'll move on with the introduction first. Here the international liquidity and the international economic institutions plays a very major role in every aspect of international business, because without of a international liquidity, that is the settling of imbalances in the international payments and maintaining the liquidity status at the international business is mandatory for all the business peoples who are going to make. So, and when it comes to the international economic institutions, if those economic institutions are not there, then the getting of a finance for in order to make business, it is not possible. So that's what the international liquidity and international economic institutions both are very required ones for the smooth running of business. Okay, so for that purpose only this final module is given for you as international liquidity and international economic institutions. Okay, so first let's move on with the first aspect, that is international liquidity. Here the international liquidity refers to the generally accepted official means of settling imbalance in international payments. That is, whatever the payments it's been there at the international level, those are going to be settled between the two parties. Okay, that is, if any imbalances, that is the money payment it's not yet been done, so those kind of payments are going to be made. So those are going to call as the international liquidity. That is, it's nothing but they need not to have the due payments. They need to settle all the payments in order to run the smooth economic flow. Okay, and in other words, the term international liquidity embraces all those assets which are internationally acceptable without loss of value in discharge of debts, that is on external accounts. That is international liquidity, which means all the kinds of assets are going to be considered for the business purposes, and here the international acceptable assets are going to be considered. Okay, and here there will be no loss. Okay, that is for the mutual parties, there will be no loss, because the value in discharge of debts, that is how they are going to discharge with the debts, those on the external accounts are discharged with both the parties. Okay, so that's what, there will be no problem for the both the parties. Okay, that is, here both of them will get a profit, that is without loss of value in discharge of debts. Okay, that is, here there will be no any that is the kind of assets which are not going to give the assets as the wrong assets. Okay, so if those kind of assets are not considered as wrong assets, and those are acceptable by both the parties without having any loss on the particular asset, then that kind of assets are having a international liquidity. Okay, say for example, when it comes to gold itself. Okay, so gold, the current price, it's raised to 45,000, right? So when it comes to the international market, there will be no loss for both of the parties, but based on the currency value, it is going to differs. Okay, so here in this kind of a cases, the loss discharging assets they need not to consider, just they need to consider the profitable assets. Okay, next, the various components of international liquidity are as follows. That is, first is gold held by central bank. That is, here the components of international liquidity, that is the how it can be maintained. First thing, it's about in the central bank they need to maintain with the gold as a treasure they need to maintain this gold. Okay, and here the gold held by private individual is not going to be included. Okay, and second is foreign currencies held by the central bank. That is, whatever the foreign currencies held by the central bank, that need to be there in the bank. Okay, so then it is going to considered as international liquidity. Okay, next, the borrowing facilities available from IMF under different schemes. Here borrowing facilities available in the sense, that is uh, borrowing of a loan itself. Okay, that is IMF is going to give the loan facilities to the all the kind of borrowers. Okay, in the sense for the approved borrowers. Okay, and next, credit facilities available under swap and other credit agreements. Okay, swap, it's a derivative instrument. Okay, so whatever the credit facilities are available for the swap and other terms of credit related agreements, it is going to be considered it as the international liquidity. And next is the special drawing rights, SDR. Okay, here the special drawing rights, which means nothing but the the borrowers who are considered as a special for the borrowing institution, they are going to give the more money for them. Okay, or in case of their status, okay, based on that also this special drawing rights will be given for the borrowers. Okay, and next is a country's browsing capacity in the international money market. That is based on the browsing capacity, in the sense the based on the turnover of the countries, they are going to consider the international liquidity of the business in the international money market. Okay, this is all the various components of international liquidity. Okay, and here this international financial cooperation and this IDA, the present inadequate of international liquidity stands confirmation by the increasing balance of payment difficulties of individual member countries. Here the IFC and IDA, both are the economic institutions, are under the present inadequate position of international liquidity. Okay, because here the increase in the balance of payment is difficult for the individual member countries. So that's what this IFC and IDA are under the crisis of international liquidity. Okay, they are given the money, but still the repayment capacity of the particular borrower, it's not been over. Okay, so that's what this IFC and IDA, both the economic institutions are in crisis of international liquidity. Okay, so this is all about international liquidity. And next aspect is the international economic institutions. Okay, here in your syllabi there are actually 6 types of economic institutions they have kept for your reading purpose or understanding purpose. Okay, but apart from these there are many more institutions are also there. Okay, So here the international economic institutions are those institutions who are going to give the financial support for the one who borrows the fund from those kind of institutions. That borrowers may be any government or any industrialist or any kind of a person in the sense not an individual person, whether it may be company, like that. Okay, so for a person different kind of a definitions are there, right? So those kind of a persons are going to be considered to the in order to borrow the money from these kind of institutions. Okay, for your syllabus, the first institutions they have kept as International Monetary Fund, IMF, World Bank, International Finance Corporation, IFC, International Development Association, IDA, Asian Development Bank, ADB, World Trade Organization. Okay, so these are the different international economic institutions which you need to study for your syllabus. Under your syllabus, these are the different institutions are there to read or understand. Okay, so we'll discuss it one by one. Okay, broadly. The first aspect is the International Monetary Fund. Okay, here the International Monetary Fund, actually the International Monetary Fund is a specialized agency of the United Nations system set up by treaty in 1945 to help to promote the health of the world economy. Okay, here this is International Monetary Fund. It was established in the year of 1945 in order to help and promote the health of the world economy. Okay, and it's headquartered in Washington DC, and it is already governed by its almost global membership of 184 countries. 184 countries are the members for this IMF. Okay, and next is the IMF works for global prosperity by promoting the balanced expansion of world trade. Okay, and here in order to increase with the global prosperity by the promoting of the balanced expansion of world trade, through these kind of three things this may happen. That is the stability of exchange rates, that is in while trading with the currencies. Okay, which are the currencies are have a same value that need to be changed. Okay, those kind of things are going to be considered from this International Monetary Fund. And next aspect is the avoidance of competitive devaluations. Okay, that is competitive devaluations, which means nothing but the competition which are high in nature, right? So those kind of a competitive, they are going to make a devaluate, that is devaluate in the sense they are not going to make a valuation of it, and they are not going to consider the competition. Okay, and last aspect is orderly correction of balance of payments problems. That is the balance of payments of every countries, it's going to be considered as one of the uh, lifeblood, like blood of the country, right? So if balance of payment it's a surplus, then the country is in a stable position. If it's in deficit, then the country is in under crisis situation. So that's what this International Monetary Fund is going to analyze these three kinds. Okay, these three kinds of different activities in order to promote the balanced expansion of world trade. Okay, if these three things are going to be made evaluated from this International Monetary Fund as very genuinely, then we can say it as it's a good uh, good one, like that we can say. Okay, so this is International Monetary Fund, and here main purpose of opening this International Monetary Fund is the in order to promote the international monetary cooperation through a permanent institution. Okay, that is going to provides the machinery for consultation and collaboration on international monetary problems. Okay, and in order to facilitate the expansion and the balanced growth of international trade, and to contribute to the promotion and maintenance of high levels of employment, and in order to promote exchange stability. Okay, and to assess the establishment of multilateral system of payments. This multilateral system of payments, which means nothing but the uh, payments which are due among the different kinds of a sector can be paid at once in a at single payment itself. Okay, in order to reduce the time and in order to get back the money from the borrower. Okay, and to give confidence to members by making general resources of the fund temporarily, and making them the safety purposes. Okay, and in accordance with the all the kinds of uh, duration, and here the degree of disequilibrium in the international balance of payments of members are also going to be increased. Okay, so for these are all the purposes this International Monetary Fund institution was opened in the year of 1945. Okay, here the some of the facilities what IMF is going to give, in the sense like standby arrangements. Okay, standby arrangements, which means nothing but giving a like a window uh, services, like in the one single day they are going to make a arrangement for to provide the finance for the borrowers. Okay, and extended fund facility, that is if any fund is additional required for the borrower, then also they are going to provide it to the borrowers. Okay, and next is poverty reduction and growth facility. Here the main purpose of it is the poverty reduction, and by that the growth it is of course going to happens. Okay, and next is the supplemental reserve facility, that is supplemental reverse facility, which means nothing but if any facility which is given for the borrower, it is not satisfied by that particular borrower, then they are going to give the additional facilities. That is what we are going to call as the supplemental reserve facility. Okay, next is contingent credit lines. Contingent credit lines, which means nothing but in order to meet the future mere losses, certain line of credit limits they are going to put. That is what we are going to call as the contingent credit lines. Okay, next is the emergency assistance, like if any emergency assistance is required for the borrower, then the IMF will come forward, and IMF will take care about everything. Okay, so for these are all the reason this International Monetary Fund was established. Okay, so this is about the first World Economic Institution. Next economic institution is World Bank. Okay, the World Bank, or the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, okay, was established in the year of 1945 under the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944. Okay, under the Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944, this World Bank was established. Okay, An international monetary and financial conference was held at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire during July 1 to 22, that is from July 1st to 22nd in 1944. Okay. In 1944 it was happened, and here the main purpose of this conference of Bretton Woods was the finalization of articles of association of IMF, and establishment of an institution for the reconstruction of the war-shattered world economies. Okay, and here thus the conference has given birth to World Bank or International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD was established like this in order to protect the interest of the International Monetary Fund organization. Okay, and here the World Bank was established to provide the long term assistance for the reconstruction and development of the economies of the member countries, while IMF was established to provide a short term assistance. Okay, here IMF was established in order to give or provide the short term assistance. Okay, whereas this World Bank or the IBRD was established in order to provide the long term benefits, that is long term assistance facility for the borrowers. Okay, next we'll go with certain functions of World Bank or the IBRD. So the first function is to assist in the reconstruction and development of the territories of its members by facilitating the investment of capital for the productive purposes. Okay, so here first the reconstruction, if any of the borrower's business it's been completely demolished or completely it's not in well position, then they are going to give the money for the purpose of in order to make the reconstruction of the particular business. Okay, second function is to promote private foreign investment by means of guarantee of participation in loans and other investments. Okay, here for the private foreign investment also, here the encouragement was given from this IBRD. Okay, and third thing is to promote the long-term balanced growth of international trade. Yes, of course, they are going to give the long-term assistance. So, by that, the long-term balanced growth of international trade it's going to be happens. Okay, last function is to arrange loans made or guaranteed by it in relation to international loans through other channels. Okay, here if the sufficient fund or the money it's not going to be lies in the hand of the World Bank, then it is going to give the other institution to provide the lending facilities for the borrowers. Okay, so these are all the different functions of the World Bank. Okay, like other activities of the World Bank are, in addition to lending facilities, the bank also going to undertake on the following activities. The first is training. Training here how it is going to given in the sense, in the year of 1956 the bank set up a staff college to provide training to senior officials of the member countries, and this college is known as Economic Development Institute. Okay, here for the staff itself they are going to give training, okay, by the senior officials of the member countries. Okay, for that college they have named as the Economic Development Institute. Okay, this another facility or the activity of the World Bank is going to be carried out. Next is the technical assistance. Okay, here the World Bank also provides technical assistance to its member countries. This is going to includes with the engineering and institution related. Okay, engineering related in the sense it is going to include the feasibility studies, engineering design, construction of construction and supervision, these kind of things. When it comes to institution related, it is going to include diagnostic policy and institutional studies management. Okay, so next activity is inter-organizational cooperation. Okay, the World Bank is also engaged in inter-organizational cooperation. It is actually based on the formal agreement between it and international organizations such as the cooperative programs between IT and FAO and the UNESCO and the WHO. That is between the two international economic institutions, the cooperation is going to be made. Okay, between WHO and GATT, between UNACTED and UNEP. Okay, so these kind of things are going to be happens. That is inter-organizational cooperation. That is one organization. Here say for example World Bank. Okay, World Bank is also going to be make a cooperation for the WHO, for the World Health Organization, and as well as for the IMF. Okay, next activity is the economic and social research. Okay, that is in 1983 the World Bank has been established a research policy council. Okay, it is going to provide the leadership in the guidance, coordination and evaluation of all bank research, and here the bank's own research staff are going to undertake the research activities and also in collaboration with the outside researchers. Why they are going to make research in the sense, in order to know how much the borrowers they have bought the money from the institution, whether it may get repaid by that particular borrower, or when sometimes if the bankruptcy situation happened, then what's the loss, then at that time how it can be regained for the organization. Okay, so these kind of different things they need to analyze. Okay, and the next activity is operations evaluation. Operations evaluation, that is the World Bank has set up the operations evaluation department, that is OED, to help borrowers in the post evaluation of bank assisted projects. And here the members of the borrowers staff visits this department for seeking help in the preparation of project completion report, these kind of things. Okay, and last thing is settlement of investment disputes. Okay, here the World Bank has set up the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, that is ICSID. ICSID. So this institution is going to settle the investment disputes between the states and between the nationals of other states also. Okay, the World Bank has also successfully mediated in solving many international investment disputes, such as a river water dispute between India and Pakistan. Okay, and the Suez Canal dispute between Egypt and UK. Okay, for the in order to resolve these kind of disputes, it's going to be World Bank is going to make as the mediator. Okay, so this is all other activities which are going to carried out by the World Bank. Okay, For World Bank also, the 184 countries are the members. Okay, here in 2003 it was 184 members, but now the numbers have been changed. It's nearly 200 countries have become member for this World Bank. Okay, so this is all about the World Bank. Next economic institution is International Finance Corporation. Okay, so the International Finance Corporation is the private sector arm of the World Bank family, that is arm of the World Bank family, in the sense it is one branch of the World Bank. That is, International Finance Corporation was also established by World Bank itself. Okay, which was established in the year of July 1956. Okay, why actually it's been introduced? That is, it is the major multilateral agency promoting productive private investment in developing countries. Okay, this main objective is in order to promote the private private investment borrowers. Okay, that is not for the government borrowers, for the private borrowers. This is going to make an encouragement. Okay, that is, it helps in private sector projects to mobilize finance for them in the international financial markets, and also provides advice and technical assistance to businesses and governments. Okay, so next we'll move on with the membership of this IFC. Okay, here the articles of agreement of the IFC are similar to that of the World Bank itself. And in 2003 184 countries, and of now nearly 200 countries have become the member for this IFC, International Finance Corporation. Okay, and the next, objectives. Okay, here the objectives of this IFC are as follows. Here the main purpose of this corporation is to further economic development by encouraging the growth of the productive private enterprises in the member countries, and along with the private investors, assisting for the private investors, they are going to give the assistance in financing, establishment, improvement and expansion. Okay, productive private enterprise. Okay, these kind of things. And they are also going to give the investment opportunities for the domestic and foreign private capital. Okay, and here they are going to seek and stimulate to create the conditions conducive to the flow of private capital, domestic and foreign. Okay, these kind of things. Okay, these are the main objectives of IFC. Along with this, here certain another objectives are also there, like providing the long-term loan in major currencies at the variable or the fixed rate, and providing the equity investment. Okay, and providing quasi equity instruments, which means nothing but giving half of the loans. Okay, if we asked for 45 lakhs of 44 lakhs of or 40 lakhs of amount, then IFC will provide with 20 lakhs of rupees. Okay, that's what quasi equity instruments. And next is providing guarantees and standby financing. Guarantee will be given Here the standby financing, which means nothing but providing the additional facilities in the uh, along with the main financing facility. Okay, next is risk management in the intermediation of currency and interest rate swaps, provision of hedging facilities. Okay, these are all the different objectives of international finance corporation. Okay, so this is all about the international finance corporation. Next, we'll move on with the International Development Association. Okay, the IDA, that is International Development Association, was set up in 1960 as a subsidiary of the World Bank to provide soft loans to the member countries. Okay, soft loans. This IDA was established in the year of 1960 as a subsidiary of this World Bank itself. Okay, both IFC and IDA are the subsidiaries of the arm of the World Bank itself. Okay, here in order to provide the soft loans to the member countries. Soft loans, which means nothing but the liberal type of a providing of loans. Okay, here thus the object of the IDA is to provide loans to member countries on liberal terms with regard to the rate of interest and the period of repayment. Okay, here the main objective or main purpose of this is providing the liberal terms of amount. That is, if I am going to ask with a 40,000 or 40 lakhs of amount, then additionally they are going to give another 2 lakhs as extra. Okay, in order to take or in order to enjoy EMI, they may do so, or in order to, they also need to pay tax, no, in order to escape from the tax, they may do so. Okay, so these kind of things or these process, what we are going to call as the soft loans. Okay, and next is and here another thing it's about this IDA loans is that they can be repaid in the currency of the member country also. Okay, that is here the currency, say, see here, uh, A is a person who belongs to India, and this International Development Association, it's there in Washington DC. Okay, so here what we need to do in the sense, as a member country, I have taken 40 lakhs from the IDA. At that situation, I need to repay that 40 lakhs in my own currency, or in the dollar currency also I can pay. Okay, this is not benefit for me, but still for them it may get benefited. Or see here, if it's in reverse case, okay, then benefit will be for the Indian country. Okay, so this is what here that IDA, if provided loans, then they can be repaid in the currency of the member country itself. Okay, In next thing, it's in approving of an IDA credit, three criteria need to be observed. That is, if IDA is providing loan, then these different criteria are going to be observed from the body. Okay, that is, first test is poverty test. That is, IDS assistance is limited to the poorest of those countries classified as Part 2 countries. Okay, this International Development Association is just going to provide the fund or the finance for the Part 2 countries. That is, for the developing and underdeveloping countries, it's going to be provides the finance. Okay, that is, and for the poorest people. And which continue to face such severe handicaps as excessive dependence on volatile primary products markets, okay, heavy debt serving burden, okay. These based on these kind of aspects, this International Development Association is going to provide the loan. Okay, this is first test they are going to conduct, that is poverty test. Second test is performance test. Okay, that is within the range of difficulties of establishing objective standards of performance. Okay, the following factors serve as a yardstick for an adequate performance test: satisfactory overall economic policies and past success in project execution. These things they are going to consider. Okay, and last test they are going to conduct is project test. Okay, here the purpose of IDA is soft loans, not soft projects. Okay, so IDA projects are also priced according to the same standard as that applied to the bank projects. The test essentially requires that the proposed projects promise to yield a financial and economic returns to adequate to justify the use of scarce capital. Okay, so if these three criteria are fulfilled by the borrower, then IDA credit will be given, okay, or otherwise it's not going to be given. Okay, next certain objectives, just two. That is, first objective is to provide a development finance on easy terms to less developed countries. Okay, and next is to promote economic development, increase productivity, okay, and raise the standard of living in the underdeveloped areas. Okay, and for this purpose itself, the IDA charges nominal rates of interest on its loans, and it has also been nicknamed as soft loan windows. Okay, these are the different objectives of IDA. Next is the membership. Okay, here all the members of the World Bank are the members of the ID. Okay, overall the members of the World Bank, here also all the members of the World Bank are members for this IDA also. Okay, and the part 1 members are developed countries. Okay, they are not the members, but the part 2 are the member or the developing countries. Those are going to be considered here. Okay, so this is all about the International Development Association. Next we'll go with the next one, that is Asian Development Bank. Okay, Asian Development Bank is a multilateral development finance institution dedicated to reducing poverty in Asia and Pacific. Okay, it's one of the Asian Development Bank is one of the multilateral development finance institution which is actually been established to reduce the poverty in the Asian region and the Pacific region. Okay, and it was established in the year of 1966. Okay, and as of now they are owned with 63 members, mostly from those kind of a region itself, that is Asia and the Pacific region. Okay, and it was headquartered in Manila. Okay, with offices around. Okay, here a certain list is been given, like nothing but that is how it is going to make the offices. Okay, that is 16 resident missions in Asia, a regional mission for the Pacific in Vanuatu. Okay, that is nothing but how they are going to make a consideration of the offices. In order to make offices, how they are going to consider. Okay, and a country office in Philippines. Okay, and representative offices in Frankfurt for Europe, Tokyo for Japan, and Washington DC for North America. Representative offices. Okay, and next is a special office in Timor Leste. Okay, and next is the extended missions in Gujarat, India, and Papua New Guinea. Okay, and they have over 2000 employees from nearly 50 countries. Okay, see here, this 16 resident missions to this 50 countries, these are their office constituencies. Okay, how they have made the construction of the organization structure for this Asian Development Bank. Okay, here just they have made concentration on our country itself, that is our the countries who are belongs to the Asia and Pacific region are considered here. Okay, and here certain missions also they are carrying out in Gujarat, India, that is overall India, and Papua New Guinea. Okay, that is in Pacific region. Okay, here they are going to give main concentration to only those countries who are in the Asian region and the Pacific region. Okay, next certain functions of ADB. Here in order to extend the loans and equity investments to its developing member countries for their economic and social development, and in order to provide a technical assistance for the planning and execution of the development of projects and programs, and to promote and facilitate investment of public and private capital for development. Okay, and a response to request for assistance in accordance with the development of policies and plans. Okay, so these are the different functions of ADB. Okay, and last is how is ADB is different from commercial banks. Okay, that question will arise, right? That is, ADB is one of the non-profit multilateral development finance institution that engages in mostly public sector lending for development purposes in its developing member countries, and ADB's clients are its member governments who are also its shareholders. Okay, here the shareholders and the management, it's just like another bank itself, But ADB has its shareholders of the 63 members. Okay, Japan and the United States are the largest shareholders with 15.9 percentage of the share percentage they have in their hand. Okay, and the board of governors comprising one representative from each member, and they are going to meet annually. And it elects the 12 members of the directors, that is for the board of directors, with each director appointing an alternate basis. Okay, and next is the ADB is elected by the board of governors and is the chairperson of the board of directors. Okay, ADB who is going to elected as the board of governors, that person will be the chairperson of the board of the directors. Okay, this is all about the Asian Development Bank. Okay, next let's move on with the next economic institution. That is last economic institution, that is World Trade Organization. Okay, here basically first we'll move with the introduction. Okay, the entire world is one country, right, for the business purposes, if it's came in the sense. Okay, here when it comes to the national political boundaries, okay, can anything can be termed it as the globalization itself. Okay, in other words, the integration of the economy of a country with the rest of the world economy is called a globalization. And globalization implies the opening up of the economy for foreign direct investment by liberalizing the rules and regulations, by creating the favorable and encouraging the industrial climate. Okay, and Indian government globalized economy by announcing economic liberalization in 1991. Okay, and here certain steps have been taken by the government of India in order to help the country to integrate the Indian economy with the rest of the global economy, right? In fact, the seeds for an integrated global economy were sown as early as in 1940s itself, when steps were taken to establish International Monetary Fund. Okay, but when it comes to the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that is IBRD, nothing but World Bank. Okay, so general agreement on tariffs and trade, okay, and the like. So these are all the given pavement to establish this World Trade Organization. Okay, actually GATT replaced with this World Trade Organization. Okay, here next the establishment of World Trade Organization. Okay, that is the governments of the member countries of GATT concluded this Uruguay round of negotiations, that is in on 15th December 1994. Yeah, the ministers expressed their political support to the outcome of setting by signing the final act in Marrakesh, Morocco on the 15th April 1994. Okay, according to Marrakesh Declaration, the results of the Uruguay round world is would the strengthen the world economy to more trade, investment, employment, and income mm, growth throughout the world. Okay, and here WTO's membership increased from 104 as on Jan 1st January 1995 to 151 as on 27th July 2007. Okay, ordered to implement the final act of Uruguay Round Agreement of GATT, the World Trade Organization was established on the July 1, January 1, 1995. Okay, here certain functions of WTO are given. That is, in order to administer the 28 agreements contained in the final act, this WTO need to work. Okay, and the WTO need to oversee the implementation of the significant tariff cut percentage, and also reduction of non-tariff measures. Okay, and the next is WTO examines regularly the trade regimes of individual member countries. Okay, and WTO provides for disputes settlement. And WTO acts as a management consultant, and technical cooperation and training division was also given by the WTO. And member countries can use the WTO as one of the forum for continuous negotiation of exchange of trade barriers in the entire world. Okay, and WTO cooperates with the other international institutions like IMF, IBRD, and ILO, International Labour Organization. Okay, and WTO oversees the international trade policies of member governments. Okay, these are all the different functions of WTO. Next, the policies of WTO. Okay, here certain policies of WTO are as follows. That is assisting developing and transition economics. Okay, here the total membership of WTO includes more than their quarters of the developing countries. Okay, and next policy is specialized help for exporting. Okay, here to provide the specialized help to the developing countries in the exporting procedure. Okay, this exporting procedure policy, it's been developed in 1964 itself. Okay, before in the GATT round itself it was there. Okay, and the next policy is regarding the cooperation in global economic policy making. Yeah, that is an important feature of WTO's policy and function is that it has to cooperate with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and with the other multi institutions to achieve the global economic policy making. Okay, and next policy of WTO is the routine notification. A routine notification, that is, members of the WTO are required to notify while taking relevant steps. Okay, in every each and steps they need to think. Okay, This is a way to monitor whether the member countries are following the rules and regulations issued by WTO or not. Okay, so for example, any details of any countervailing legislation, new technical standards affecting trade laws or regulations concerning the intellectual property agreement, etc., they all have to be notified to WTO. Okay, whatever the kind of information, it need to be notified for the WTO. Okay, so this is all about the policies of WTO. 4 policies are there. And next is the WTO and anti-dumping measure. Okay, dumping means nothing but selling the product at below the ongoing market price and at the price below the cost of production. Okay, that is what we are going to call as the dumping. Okay, next here one author, that is Heblerer, defines dumping as the sale of goods abroad at a price which is lower than the selling price of the same goods at the same time in the same circumstances at home, taking account of difference in transport costs. Okay, this dumping, it means nothing but the selling of the product in the low price when it compared to selling price of the product. Okay, actually the selling price of the product is 40 rupees for one toy. Okay, but in the home market they are selling that particular product to 20 rupees. That is what we are going to call as the dumping. Okay, and here the types of dumpings are, okay, here the connection is there for the WTO also. WTO what is going to do, in a sense, it is going to give certain restricted price to every product. Okay, actually the toy price is 40 rupees selling price. Okay, so if they are required with a bargained price, then WTO fixes the price for the home market as 38 rupees. Okay, and at the international level the toy price of is 40 rupees. Okay, so these kind of interventions are going to be made by the WTO. Okay, that is here the types of dumping. That is dumping is of 3 types, that is intermittent dumping, persistent dumping, predatory dumping. Okay, intermittent dumping, which means nothing but when the production of a product is more than the demand in the home country, the stocks build up even after sales. In such a case, the producer sells the remaining stock in foreign countries at a low price without reducing in the price in domestic countries. Okay, that is here. Actually, demand is there for the product in the home market. Okay, demand is there in the home market, but still they are not going to reduce the product price in the home market, rather than they are going to in order to make a stock clearance, again they are going to sell it in the international level. Okay, so that kind of a dumping we are going to call as the intermittent dumping. Okay, next type of a dumping is persistent dumping. Okay, the monopolist sells the remaining production in foreign countries at a low price continuously. Okay, that is, monopolist always sell the products in the low price itself. That is what we are going to call as the persistent dumping. Okay, next type of dumping is predatory dumping. Okay, the monopolist sells the product in a foreign market at a low price initially. Initially, they will sell the product at a low price with the view to drive away the competitions and increase the price after the competitors. Okay, if once competitors have been gone, at that situation again they will raise the price of the product. When the competitors are there, they are not going to increase the price of the product. When there will be no competitors, at that situation they are going to increase the price of the product. This is what the WTO and anti-dumping measure. For these are all the different types of dumping measures. The WTO given certain guidelines or the restrictions. In that only they need to work out. Okay. Next is the organization structure of WTO. Okay, the organization structure of the WTO is designed based on 4 hierarchical levels. Okay, the first hierarchical level is the ministerial conference. Okay, that is, ministerial conference is the highest hierarchical level in the organizational structure, and here all the member countries of WTO are the representatives of the ministerial conference. Okay, so this is the first organizational structure level. And next is the General Council. Okay, General Council is the executive body of the WTO. That is, General Council reports its decisions and activities to the Ministerial Conference. Okay, and here in the General Council, the dispute settlement body supervises dispute settlement and procedures. This body is going to be assisted to look after these kind of aspects. Okay, and like trade policy review. Okay, these kind of review systems are going to be done from the General Council. Okay, next is particularly the council itself, councils. Okay, the third level in the hierarchy is councils. Okay, here there are 3 councils are there. That is Council for Trade in Goods. That is, this council is going to supervise the implementation and functioning of all kinds of agreements relating to trade in goods. Next, Council for Trade in Services. This council is going to oversee the implementation of all the agreements relating to trade in services. And next is Council for Trade related aspects for intellectual property rights. This council is going to oversee the implementation and functioning of all the agreements relating to this area, that is relating to IPRs. Okay, this is third hierarchical level, that is councils. Fourth hierarchical level is committee and management bodies. Okay, Here, the General Councils delegates powers, responsibilities, and authorities to these bodies. These committees and bodies are going to include the Committee on Trade and Development. Okay, this committee is concerned with the issues concerning the developing countries and particularly least developed countries. Okay, and next is the Committee on Balance of Payments. That is, some WTO member countries resort to trade restrictive measures with the view to cope with their balance of payments problems. Okay, that is like consultations among such countries is going to be arranged by the Committee of on Balance of Payments. Okay, next is the Committee on Budget, Finance and Administration. Okay, and the management bodies, like management bodies in the sense like plurilateral agreements. Plurilateral means nothing but many agreements, one or more agreements. Okay, of the WTO have their management bodies, and these management bodies report to the General Council, and some of the plurilateral agreements having the management bodies including civil, aircraft, government procurement, dairy products, okay, and bovine meat, etc. Okay, these kind of things are going to comes. These are the different organization structure of WTO. Okay, next is anti-dumping measures. In order to protect the anti-dumping, that is dumping, this route have been found out from WTO as anti-dumping measures. Okay, in view of the negative effects of dumping, the importing country imposes anti-dumping measures like tariff duty, import quota, import embargo, and voluntary export restraint. Okay, first, tariff duty means the importing country imposes high rates of import tariffs on dumping so that the price of the dumping goods would be either equal to or more than that of the domestic goods. Okay, then the dumping company finds it uneconomical to dump the goods in foreign country and stops the dumping. Okay, this is one way the WTO find out the way in order to protect or in order to avoid the dumping. Okay, this is first way, that is tariff duty. Second way is the import quota. Okay, the importing country in addition to tariff duty restricts the volume of imports. Okay, this measures reduces the dumping, that is quota, which means nothing but sometimes quoting with the high prices and sometimes quoting with the less prices. It need not to happen. Okay, so that's what the WTO is going to give restricted the volume of imports that need to be imported to the importing countries, not any single as extra. Okay, next is import embargo, that is the importing country bans the import of particular goods or all the goods from the dumping country. This is a retaliatory measure against dumping, that is here particular goods or all of the goods from the anti-dumping countries. Okay, this is a retaliatory measure against dumping, that is here the importing of goods or all the goods are not going to be considered, only those kind of goods are going to be considered which are banned. It need not to be imported. Okay. Next way is voluntary export restraint. Okay, the exporting countries realizing the negative effects of dumping voluntary come for bilateral agreements to avoid dumping. That is, here the exporting countries realizing the negative effects of dumping voluntarily, in the sense nothing but whatever the products are having the negative effects, it need not to be it need not to be sold, or it need not to be imported for the importing countries. It need to be banned for the countries. Okay, so that is what we are going to call as the voluntary export restraint. Okay. And also the WTO is going to provide clear and additional information and criteria for determining dumping. That is, the product that is dumped and the injury caused to an industry of the domestic country by the dumped product. WTO also provides the procedure to be followed in initiating and conducting and dumping investigations. Okay, rules for implementing the anti-dumping measures. And next thing, it's about the duration of anti-dumping measures, the clear roles for dispute settlement panels in settling the disputes relating to and dumping actions taken by the member governments. Okay, so these are all the different anti-dumping measures. So by this we are going to complete with the world economic institutions. Okay, so next we'll go on with the next aspect of your syllabus, that is WTO, the third pillars in global business. Okay, here the twin international financial institutions which emerged during the post-war deliberations are the International Monetary Fund and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. WTO is now viewed as the third pillar for the of the global business. Okay, IMF mostly provides short-term international finance, and the IBRD provides long-term international finance, while the WTO enlarges the global business. Right? So this is how the global businesses are going to be taken from the different economic institutions by providing the loan facilities to the borrowers. Okay, here the three main legal instruments of the WTO are the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, the General Agreement on Trade in Services, GATS. Next, last is the Agreement on Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights, TRIPS. Okay. So first we'll discuss it with a General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Here the GATT, it was actually origin a negotiation in 1947, in a conference at Geneva. It represents GATT and the birth of the WTO itself. And here several rounds of negotiations were held in the inception of GATT. And the nature of negotiations in the rounds during that is from 1947 to 1960 was the tariffs. Okay, the negotiation in other rounds, that is included the anti-dumping measures, etc. And here the significant round is the Uruguay round of 1986. Okay, the nature of the issues in this round included bringing agricultural and protection of intellectual property rights under GATT. Okay, this is what the GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Okay, next is the GATS, right? General Agreement on Trade in Services. It is the first and only set of multilateral rules governing international trade in services, negotiated in the Uruguay round. It was developed in response to the huge growth of the services like economy over the past 30 years, and the greater potential for trading services brought about by the communications revolution. Okay, and here the general agreement on the trade in services has three elements. Those are containing general obligations and disciplines and annexes services. Okay, annexes dealing. Okay, these are the GATS. Next is trade related intellectual property rights, right? The trade related intellectual property rights agreement covers the following categories of intellectual property, that is copyright and related rights. Okay, the members are required to comply with the Berne Convention for the protection of literary and artistic works. Okay, and here computer programs are included in the literary for the protection of literary works. Authors of computer programs and broadcasting organizations are to be given in the right to authorize or prohibit the commercial rental of their works to public. Okay, and this protection is extended for 50 years. Here any kind of a copyrights or any kind of other related rights, it need to be for 50 years. Okay, it need not to cross with the 50 years. Up to that they need to be on any kind of a artistic work or on any kind of a literary work. Okay, this copyrights it need to be given. Okay, that is copyright for any issues, like just one example I'll give you, that is if while preparing any research paper, right, if you didn't put the name of the author which you have copied the material, then it will be called as one of the bad thing for the as a author. That is comes under the literary work. Okay, it will be considered it for the 50 years. Okay, and the next is trademarks. The owner of a registered trademark has the inclusive right to prevent all third parties not having the owners consent from the using in the course of trade identical or similar signs for goods or services. Okay, when it comes to registration and renewal of a trademark is for a certain period of not less than 7 years, not less than 7 years. Okay, and next is about the geographical indications. That is, members are required to provide the legal means for interested parties to prevent the use of any indication which misleads the consumer as to the origin of goods. Any use which would constitute an act of unfair competition. Additional protection is applied for geographical indications for wines and spirits. Okay, next is industrial designs. This is nothing but the different kind of intellectual property rights I am telling you. Okay, copyrights, patents, trademarks, okay, industrial designs. Okay, these are the different things. Industrial designs, that is, are produced for a period of 10 years. Okay, owners of protected designs would be able to prevent the manufacture, sale, or importation of articles bearing or embodying a design which is a copy of the protected design for commercial purposes. Okay, next type of IPR is intellectual property right is patents. Okay, patents shall be available for any inventions, whether products or processes in all fields of technology, provided they are new, involve an inventive step, and are capable of industrial application. And patent owner shall have the right to assign or transfer by succession the patent and to both the process and product patent. Okay, the agreement requires 20 years of protection, and the agreement requires both process and product patent. It provides for 20 years product patent and a successive 20 years process patent. Okay, so this is all about the WTO, the third pillars in global business. Okay, next we'll move on the next aspect of your syllabus, that is India and WTO. There was much heated discussion, arguments for and against regarding India becoming a member of the WTO. India was one of the 76 governments that became members of the WTO on the first day of the formation of the WTO. Thus, India was one of the founder member of WTO. Okay, and here certain benefits what derived from the WTO to India. Those are that is benefit is the reduction of tariff on exports, and improved prospects of agricultural exports, because the price of agricultural products in the world market will increased on that time, was increased at that time. Okay, and increase in the exports of textiles and clothing was happened. Okay, and the next thing it's about greater security and predictability of the international trading system was developed. Okay, and next thing it's about GATT secretariat estimated that the largest increase in the level of merchandise trade in goods will be in the areas of clothing, agriculture, forestry, and fishery products have been developed. And next thing, it's about adoption of product as a patent one. Okay, so these are the different benefits which derived from the WTO to India. And certain disadvantages also what India got were as follows. The tariff reductions on goods of export interest India are very much a smaller one. Okay, and less prospects of increase in agricultural exports due to the limited extent of agricultural liberalization. Okay, and next thing, it's about there will be only marginal liberalization to the movement of about services in which it is competitive. Okay, and when it comes to the technological dependence on the foreign firms, technology and the R&D team are very greater one. But for a country like our India, at that situation, technology means what some people they don't know, right? So at that situation, this was ridiculously made a certain bad impact on the India. Okay, so these are the different disadvantages to India. Okay, so this is all about the India and WTO. The next concept of your syllabus is, and the last concept of your syllabus is Doha declarations of WTO. The Doha round is the latest round of trade negotiations among the WTO membership. Its aim is to achieve a major reform of the international trading system through the introduction of lower trade barriers and revised trade rules. The work program covers about 20 areas of trade. The round is also known as semi-officially as Doha Development Agenda, as a fundamental objective is to improve the trading prospectus of the developing countries. Okay, Doha, it's a place in Qatar. Okay, there actually these declarations have been made from the WTO, so that's what they have named it as the Doha Declaration of WTO. Okay, the round was officially launched at the WTO's fourth ministerial conference in Doha, Qatar, in November 2001. Okay, the Doha Ministerial Conference declaration provided the mandate for the negotiations, including on agriculture, services, and an intellectual property topic, which began earlier. Okay, so this Doha declaration given on the 20 items on the 20 products, they have made certain declarations. Okay, that declarations you can go undergo with the link what I have given. In that, the complete information you will get it. Okay, so we'll just I am going to give the glimpse on the agricultural, that is on the different 20 items, that is in Doha, ministers also approved a decision on how to address the problems developing countries face in implementing the current WTO agreements. Okay, here basically Doha declarations have been made to what are all the problems have been faced from the developing countries that need to be vanished out or that need to be get abolished. Okay, for in order to make those kind of things, they have chosen the 20 sectoral decisions. Okay, if these 20 sectoral decisions have been boosted up, then the developing countries may become as developed countries. Okay, so that for that purpose they have undergone with this issue in the year of 2001. Okay, so first on agricultural matter. Okay, on agricultural matter certain percentage variation they have made, if that is in order to get with the agricultural products, those are costs much, right? So those costs are they have made as lesson. And next is service is a prime motto of every organization, they need to provide. Okay, so they have made as it is compulsory. And next, market access, that is it's a non-agricultural issue, they have made it certain rules regarding market access. And intellectual property, what we have discussed, that is only they have made. And next is investment. Regarding investment, they have given more importance on FDI, foreign direct investment. And next is competition, that is uh, in the year of 2002 itself, a competition act was established in our India. So here there need to be the healthy competition need to be there, not a harmful competition. Okay, and next is transparency in government procurement, that is whatever the government procurement it's there no, in that the authorities they need not to make a lobbying. Okay, that is by taking of money they need not to procure any of the people, but nowadays it's happening, it's a different issue. Okay, next is the trade facilitation, that is while making any business or any exchanging of goods and services, the facilitation should be there, that is facilities need to be more in the trade manner. Next is anti-dumping, that is what we have discussed, the WTO given many instructions on WTO, that is on anti-dumping. Next, subsidies concept was also introduced at that time, at that situation itself, that is for farmers suicide or hanging, it's been very much at that situation, so that's what they have started to give subsidies also. It is subsidies means you have known, right, whatever the loan they have taken from the banks, the bank will give that money. Okay, and the farmers or the parties they need not to pay it to the bank. Next is regional agreements, that is between the nations or between the states, the regional agreements have been developed, and more encouragement was given for these kind of regional agreements, that is in special economic zones, okay, or in free trade zones, okay, or in or in any special lands. Okay, those kind of agreements. And a dispute settlement, of course negotiation need to be there. Okay, environment, that is macro environment and the micro environment. And next, e-commerce. Okay, e-commerce means what? In 2001, no one are known to it, but nowadays many of them they won't go for shop. Mm, they buy it in online itself. That is what e-commerce encouragement they have made in that year, and now we are getting a impact of it. Okay, small economies, right? Small economies, which means nothing but the deriving of economies into a smaller part, and thereby the deriving of income as more. Okay, that concept have been developed in that Doha declarations. And next, trade, debt and finance. These three things are very much essential. Next, trade and technology transfer. Technology, in the manner of technology transfer, okay, that is from one country to another country. If it need to, the technology need to transfer in a sense, then it need to require with a certain ideologies or certain procedures are there that need to be followed. And next is technical cooperation. That is this technical cooperation, how it's been in the sense like between the institutions itself, between WHO and IMF, and between IDA and IFC. Okay, these things. And next is least developed countries. In order to make least developed countries as developing countries, what are all the measures they need to procure? That was also discussed in Doha declaration. And next is last is special and differential treatment. Okay, that is a special and differential treatment was in the manner of the army peoples. Okay, for them this special and differential treatment was used. Okay, so these are all the 20 sectoral decisions which was taken in the Doha declaration, okay, of WTO. Okay, so hereby we are going to end up with the module 6. Okay, module 6. So last as usual conclusion we will discuss here. The international organizations is the salient issues, most important issues, and decide on which issues can be grouped together. That is, which issues need to be grouped together and which issues need not to be involved. That need to be discussed, and thus it is going to help in governmental priority determination or other governmental arrangements. Okay, and here however the role of economic organizations are helping to set the international agenda and mediating political bargaining, providing place for political initiatives also. Okay, so these sometimes how it is in the sense what in Bangalore care market is not in our hand. It was pledged in somewhere in these economic institutions itself by the government itself. Okay, so these kind of different issues are there. We need to concentrate on those kind of things. Just okay. So hereby we are also completed with the your full international business syllabus. Okay, if at last classes started as offline, definitely I will do it once again, these all modules. Okay, don't worry. And as you being final year students, you will definitely need to face the exams. Okay, So that's what, to concentrate on, please do concentrate on studying. Okay, now from now onwards itself, if you studied, you can score better. Okay, all the best. Thank you for your patience listening this video. Okay, and stay tuned for next or the further updates. And if you liked my video, please do subscribe for my channel in order to get latest updates. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you.